Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another wonderful installment of The Mixing Glass brought to you by Bardtenders. My name is Michael Windsor. I'm your co host. It's so good to be back up in your ear holes once again. We've got, once again, another great episode, another great guest for you tonight. But before we get into that, we've got to introduce our fearless leader, Mr. Passionate Apollo himself, good old Johnny Dice, Jonathan Mateer.
You're really not going to let the Johnny Dice thing go,
I love
huh?
it. It sounds so good. Oh, Johnny Dice. I mean, I played D&D with you once a week. It really fits.
It needs to be a D&D character. I'm going to be very honest with you. It has to exist.
You have that power, John. It is your world. I'm just trying not to die in it.
I feel like it has to be a playable character. Someone has to be Johnny Dice. It can't just be an NPC.
All right, fair enough. Maybe whenever I finally run a campaign one of these days.
Oh, the way last night went, you'll probably never do it again. For anybody who listened to our holiday special, it was absolutely incredible. Mike, why are we really here tonight?
Not to talk about that. No, we as always, we've got another great guest for you. Tonight we're going to be talking to David Cohen. David is currently the COO for Fine Familiar Spirits, as well as the President and Head Distiller of Manifest Distilling in Jacksonville, Florida. And he is responsible for the day-to-day operations at the distillery. Manifest opened in 2015, and its products are currently distributed in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee, as well as nationwide throughout online retailers. Most recently, Fine Familiar Spirits and Manifest Distilling, have opened a joint venture, Expansion Packaging, which is a full-service liquid development and co-pack facility, of which David operates as the president. David also serves as president of the Florida Craft Spirits Association, the first industry-supported nonprofit established to promote the craft spirits industry throughout the state. His long family history in hospitality actually began in the early 1940s in the Caribbean. I don't know if it's Caribbean. I don't know. He can correct me after this. So his involvement in the spirits industry was a natural progression. Prior to the founding of Manifest, David completed an internship with Kentucky Artisan Distillers and earned a certificate from the Seibel Institute of Technology for craft distilling and operation. Before that, David was responsible for opening or operating several companies, ranging from a product company in Los Angeles to serving as the creative director and vice president of an editorial and publishing company. He resides in Jacksonville, Florida, with his wife Nina and three adorable children, Frankie, and Charlie. Please welcome to the show, David.
Hey. I just have to say really quick, Johnny Dice, do you guys remember the game Leisure Suit Larry?
No, but I know about it now.
This is going to totally date myself.
I never played it, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this came out when I was in high school. I think I'm probably a little older than you guys, but it was a very dirty and inappropriate adult-themed video game in a time where that was kind of not a thing. So it was really fun to play. But Johnny Dice is 100% a character in Leisure Suit Larry. So I invite you to go down that journey.
Johnny Dice.
Yeah, there's got it may be an NPC in Leisure Suit Larry, but it's for sure in there. It's got to be.
I've got to play it now for research, obviously. For research and for science. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. It actually came out in 1987. I was not in high school in 1987, but for whatever reason, me and my group of dorky buddies went down that rabbit hole. Anyways, hi.
Hi. See, we're already off the rails, and we're less than 5 minutes into the episode.
Brilliant.
I love, which means we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. So, before we get too far off track, we got to roll for initiative. I know you've got a 20-sided die over there.
Indeed.
So if you want to give that bad boy a roll.
There we go. Give it a little roll. Believe it or not, I got a 20, boys.
No! Okay. We love it when guests roll a 20 because good things happen for you and not for us.
Listeners, yeah.
Great listeners love this. So with a nat 20, you get to ask us to make an animal noise of your choice.
Oh, this is fun.
You found your familiars, so there you go.
There, I did. That's right. Well, good reference. I like it. Okay.
Actually, I might make that canon now, Mike. That's what a nat 20 is. It's called Find Your Familiar.
Find Your Familiar. That's
Not
good.
bad, yeah.
Did you guys? We have that little widget on our website where you could find. Did you guys ever do that on the Find Familiar website where you can?
I haven't. I didn't know that existed.
It's a whole Quizlet where you fill out all these questions, and then we have like 6. I think it's 6 characters, and it is Find Your Familiar, and you get assigned a crow, a wolf. There's
It's like a personality kind of test, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, spirit animal.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
which Lord of the Rings
A little
character
bit.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I guess I have to actually pick one of you guys, right? I can't.
We'll both
can
do
pick.
it out of
We'll
support.
both do it. You can do 2 different animals if you want. This is just a humiliation ritual. Really
It's a nat 20. It's got to be cool. Those are the rules.
Well, I don't know if "cool" is the right word, but fine. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out 2, and then you guys get to fight over who gets to do which one. All right. You get to do. I'm gonna do a woodpecker.
Okay.
And a dolphin.
I want to do the woodpecker.
I want the dolphin, so that's great.
That's brilliant.
Look at that.
All right, here, I'll start. Here's the woodpecker. Ready?
No, that's cheating. Get the hell out.
That's why I heard a woodpecker literally today. That's what they sound like.
What do they sound like when they're doing something? What do they sound like whenever they actually make noise, Mike?
What's that?
That's a good question.
What's the old
I actually don't know.
character? What's
Woody
the old,
Woodpecker?
Woody the Woodpecker.
What does he sound like?
Doesn't he go?
Isn't he do that? That's all, folks. Yes.
All right, there you go. That's all you're getting.
All right, that was good. That was good, Mike. That was good. I'll give you that one. You got a lot of
really good
on that one. You did some help.
That's really good.
A dolphin. All right.
I mean, the beginning of that was solid. The beginning of that was really solid.
It's not terrible. Not terrible.
No, it's not.
I hope I never have to do that again.
You're the one who wrote the rules.
I did write the rules. I can make the nat 20 a lot worse, Mike, for us. I can make it so much worse.
I'll quit while I'm ahead.
All right. Thank you, David, for that amazing experience.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide that.
We appreciate it. But now we're going to talk about you, the real reason we're here. We ask every guest who comes on the show, what's your origin story? How'd you get into the hospitality industry? How'd you get your foot in the door? How did you become a sucker for life in this amazing industry?
Okay. So great question. So my story, I'll go true origin story, right? So I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. True origin story kind of sources back a little bit with my family. My father was born in Holland right at the beginning of World War II. And
that's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough. Being a Jew in Holland in 1940 was not a good place to be. So he was born there and obviously had his whole story. He went into hiding. He survived miraculously, made it through the war, and his family, his parents and his sister, got out of Holland right at the end of the war and moved to Aruba because Aruba was a Dutch-owned island. So Holland let you leave the country with any possessions that you had left and go to another country and keep your possessions if it was a Dutch-controlled colony or a Dutch-controlled, so Aruba was controlled by Holland at the time, was owned by Holland. So they went to Aruba. They were like, let's get out of here. We don't want to be here anymore, understandably. And so they went there, and my grandfather was a butcher by trade and slowly started a hospitality business in the late 40s, early 50s. Bought a hotel, saved up money and bought a hotel off some KLM airline pilots that had this hotel and ran it into the ground. The island at the time was the only industry on the island was a refinery for a Venezuelan oil company. And so everybody that was there was a transplant, either from the U.S. or Venezuela, that was working at this refinery. So at the time, the hotel industry was really servicing the pilots that came on and off the island, and occasionally like family members, whatever, guests. So this was like the beginning of the boom. So my grandfather started that, became very successful in that, grew that, turned it into a catering business, ended up catering all the airlines that came on and off the island. Yada yada. Fast forward, built his service industry, the hospitality industry. Ended up with a couple hotels, an import-export company, a catering business. Fast forward, I ended up being born in Florida, but every summer we would go spend the summers down there with my grandparents. And so I was kind of steeped in this hospitality, right? So stayed in his hotels. We were always there, always running around that, and then grew up as a child actor. Worked professionally as a child actor from the age of about 7 years old. When I was 9 years old, I joined the Screen Actors Guild. I was traveling, I was working. And so I grew up in, I guess, a different kind of service industry, service as a performer. And then got out in high school, was just really done with it. Got out, went to school for theater in Orlando. Right after school, moved straight to Los Angeles and was like, I'm going to give it another go. Worked in the film industry, worked in documentary production, and what that means, you probably know. Whenever you're not working, you're in the hospitality industry. So I worked at bars and restaurants, had a long stint working at Ruth's Chris in Woodland Hills, and did that to pay the bills when you weren't on a set. Spent about 5 or 6 years doing hip hop documentaries.
Very cool.
And then the whole real estate collapse happened, the whole Lehman Brothers foreclosure crisis. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. I spent, the first 20 years of my life in entertainment, film and television, and moved back to, obviously hadn't made it big. I made enough to support myself, and moved back to Florida. So about 16, 17 years ago, moved back to Florida. And that was kind of what birthed this idea of, I'm going to get out of film and television. I want to do something brick and mortar. I want to create things that people can touch. I grew up around the hospitality industry. I knew I didn't want to open a restaurant. I knew I didn't want to open a traditional bar, because I'd worked in them for so long. And this is when craft breweries were having their heyday, 16, 17 years ago, right? This was like the beginning of the boom in Florida, at least. And so that kind of inspired me, that and this like resurgence of American master craftsmanship. I read this book about American master craftsmanship, talking about how we were going to come around as a society and we were moving away from this like knowledge economy and placing value back in these trade skills, like anything from like woodworking and plumbing to any of these specialty kind of labor skills. And I fell in love with that idea of people making stuff again and being creative, and so like that culmination of, hospitality industry, making products with your hands, American master craftsmanship, landed me with this idea of creating a distillery brand. And that launched the passion, like, come up with the idea, build the business plan, go back to school. I had no distillation experience, right? Like my experience with spirits was purely as a behind the stick server, bartender, consumer, right? As a fan, right? Like I enjoyed whiskeys, scotches, beers, whatever. And so that kind of launched the idea. And then that Manifest was open 9 years ago. September was 9 years ago. We started planning about 2 years before that. So about 11 years all in.
Crazy.
Yeah.
David, you said so many things that I want to unpack.
Okay, thank you, because I have questions.
you said so many things that are so interesting and so fascinating. One, it's incredible, like your grandfather's story and everything. Like that's so incredible, and like to do that in the time that he did it, and to have a family and raise a family and still give back to his family and the community that he was building. Like that's something that is so rare and genuine. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I know what Mike's going to ask about, so I think I'm going to let Mike ask the question first.
We can't gloss over the child acting thing. I need to
I
know
knew that's what you were going to do.
I know. Come on, I'm sorry. I have to ask. I just need to know, like, what are some of the things you acted in? Like, what was that? Just in a nutshell, kind of what was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, so it was very genuine. I when I was like 7, I saw some commercial on TV about like learning to act, and I pestered my grandmother. I was very close with my grandparents on my mother's side, and I just pestered. I was like, that sounds like so much fun. I want to do it. I want to do it. Fast forward, finally they took me to do it. I found some like early success in like auditioning for commercials. Ended up getting an agent. Ended up joining the guild. I did a lot of commercials, like, think about like Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, Florida Lottery, like typical Florida stuff.
Can you send me some after this episode is over? I have to see it. I'm sorry. I want to see it.
So I will tell you a funny clip story. I think the most I just to finish that the most we ever did was I did a couple series for Nickelodeon, did like Clarissa Explains It All, Welcome Freshmen, like those types of series. Yeah. And then when I was out in LA, I did a couple episodes of Baywatch. I shot some pilots for CBS. Like,
that's so cool.
Nothing.
This is why I asked the questions that I asked, John. Okay. Like, Nickelodeon commercial, Baywatch, done it all, seen it all,
Yeah, it was. I mean, sometimes I think, obviously, you think about that. I think about this stuff a lot, and I'm like, what if I'd stayed with it? What if one of those things went through? And I look at a lot of the people. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you'd probably have a different relationship with alcohol, is all I was going to say, but please go on.
Well, and that's where I was going. I feel like I might have dodged a bullet. Like most of the kids I grew up with acting didn't come out so lucky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you seen Mason Reese? Yeah, it didn't work out very well.
No.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm sated. Thank you very much. You tickled my fancy. I needed to know. John, back to you. There.
So I gotta tell you the story. So I did this stuff, and I was heavily ridiculed in high school because I wasn't there a lot, and I was going to do this stuff. And I think there was a lot of like, so high school was like in some ways like boohoo, but in some ways it was like I was gone all the time. People make fun of what they don't understand, and so like I always tried to downplay it. Like I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want people to know I was doing it because I frankly didn't want the attention of it, which is one of the reasons I kind of got out of it. But I had a really good friend group in high school, and one of the shows was Welcome Freshmen, and I was a freshman. And in the show, as the freshman, I was one of the kids that got picked on a lot. And there was a scene I had to do where I was in my towel, and I was in the locker room, and all the upperclassmen stole my clothes. And I like come out in my towel, and there's all the kids there, and then I get hung up from a locker and like left out. Yeah. Classic. And so that was like the whole scene, which like nowadays would like never fly. Right. So I come home from, I think I was at college, and I came over from college break, was hanging out with some of my high school buddies. And one of my buddies went online and found like a freeze frame and like a dark corner of the web. Well, it turns out it was on a NAMBLA website.
No,
and it was it was a clip from the show of me like hanging from the locker. I was like 12, and it was like whatever the line was. So they printed the screen grab from the website, and all did like iron-on T-shirts, and we like went out to a bar, and I was like,
"Oh my god, that's incredible!" I'm like, it's fucked up, but that's incredible. I love that story.
It's so fucked up, but I thankfully I was old enough to see the humor in it, and
sure.
We enjoyed it.
Oh my god!
Thank you.
We have to ask these questions.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, where's your segue now, John? Come on.
No, I don't have a good segue. I'm gonna move into it. So, we always like to talk about people's first jobs in the hospitality industry. And you said you worked at Ruth's Chris. Was that your first ever hospitality job, or what was your first ever experience working in restaurants or adjacent?
My first ever was in college. I did some bar backing at. Do you guys remember there was a big like club group? I did like a couple of shifts. That wasn't a lot. Do you remember Have a Nice Day Cafe?
No.
This was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was like a disco themed, like smiley face, light up floor, fishbowl punch type, like college bar. And then they had another group. It was just called Bar. It was like big black and white sign Bar. It was like Bar Orlando, Bar Milwaukee, Bar Detroit. And it was a club. It was a nightclub. Like people stood on bars and poured shots in your mouth, and there was beer tub girls, and it was, looking back,
it was a product of the era. It's a product of the times.
100%. That was my first like actual legit, like, here's your measly tip out, to shovel ice job.
Yeah, restock fridges.
Exactly.
Literally it. But you did eventually love hospitality, or you wouldn't be doing, kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah, I think I was addicted to the performative nature of hospitality, of so I did theater in college, and like this concept of like, you've got your crew, you've got your people, and you lights are on, right? You're on, and there's the rush. There's that adrenaline rush. You're on a shift, like you're all in sync, like you're chasing that kind of high of a really good shift, being absolutely in the weeds and slammed, and like getting through it, and then the camaraderie that comes out of it, and then the joy of like the actual service, right? Like making people's nights, delivering spectacular things to people. Like, to me, that's the allure of it. Like that's what pulled me in. Like I said, I worked at Ruth's Chris, and that there was a lot of that. This was before. This was when Ruth's Chris was still independently owned. Ruth Fertel, the founder, was still alive, and their corporate culture was very like, they prided themselves on like this, like the quality and the service, and like it was just a tight ship. And I actually learned a lot about hospitality working that job, like the respect of hospitality.
Oh yeah, and you said chasing that rush, chasing the high of having that perfect shift, and like, it goes into that dance, right? That everybody does whenever they're behind the bar working in a restaurant. There's so many small pieces that come together to make up the entire performance, to credit your words. Like there's something incredible that unless you have worked in it or have done it, nobody understands what's happening. They just see the food at their table and they're like, this is great. Right. But you guys don't get it. Like there's so much that goes into it. So that's so cool.
It's a lot like a production for me. I mean, I worked, I did a bunch of catering when I was in LA. Catering jobs were great because they were so seasonal. And like, if you would go be on a shoot for a couple of months and then come back and you'd have like a handful of weeks before you'd have to ship off for something else, catering gigs were great. And in LA, like the amount of money people spent on catering gigs out there for these parties was just like so extra, so over the top.
Sure.
And it was the same thing. It was like, that's like, come in first thing in the morning and you've got a 14-hour day. You're doing full breakdown at the end of the night. You're knocking everything out. You've got rigging, you've got, pipe and drape. You've got like all like that same thing. It felt like that you're put on a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, there's a lot that goes into, especially catering. People don't realize that like those larger companies, they do so much. We contract them through my work and stuff to put up events all the time. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, you guys do massive events.
Yeah, those are long days for everybody working. Like, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to have another non-natural segue because you talked about distilling for the first time too. You had no experience at all, right? You had worked in bars, you had worked in restaurants, but you hadn't had any, distilling experience. How did you go about finding, the route that you wanted to get that distilling license? Like, I'm sure you weren't sitting in your grandma and grandfather's house watching commercials saying, come on down and we'll give you a distilling license and they'll take you there. So how did you start that journey and what was the process for you?
I think so. When I left, the last job that I worked at was a producing friend of mine. I did a small a short stint doing book publishing. And it was a buddy of mine who was a producing, directing friend in LA. He left, and I helped him start this book publishing business. And I did it for a little while, and I did it for a little while when I moved back. And I left that because I knew I wanted to do something else. I wanted to work, build a team locally, boots on the ground. And I left that, and I knew that I knew what I wanted to do in the sense of like building a community. I wanted to be part of employing people and doing something in my city that was giving back to the city itself, to our city itself. I was really inspired to do something in downtown Jacksonville. I grew up here, and there wasn't stuff happening down there. I thought, like, I'd lived in big cities before. I wanted that. So I knew like there's nuts and bolts element. And I forced myself, because my entire life, I mean, from 7 years old, I feel like I hopped from one thing into another. Like I was always moving. I was in a job and another job and another job. I was working professionally from a young age. And so when I left this, I made myself promise to do nothing for a year. I made some money. I sold some interest in that business that I was in. So I kind of had enough money to live off of. And I said, okay, for this next year, I was helping my dad with some real estate stuff. So I was still doing some work, but I wasn't like reporting to a job. And I said, you take 12 months and you don't decide for 12 months. You do all the research you want. You figure out what it is. But I forced myself to not, which is, in hindsight, was actually an amazing luxury at the time to be able to take that time. And I just used the year to generate ideas. Well, I whittled it down to 2 ideas. One of them was opening a distillery. And the second one was opening a fresh press juice company.
Well, no one's done that.
No one's done that. Well, and so at the time, like that, again, this was 10 years ago, out west in California, everybody had juice companies everywhere, right? Yeah, especially like packaged juices. And I was like, nobody's really doing this in Jacksonville. This would be great. And they're so 2 wildly different directions. And the first time, I was like taking to my friends, my family, mentors, and presenting these ideas. And I don't think one person was like, yeah, do the juice company. And I was like, okay, I see where this is going. So that made the decision. And I think I was scared to do the distillery thing because it was such a big endeavor.
Sure.
Like a juice company was like, I could find the money for this pretty easily, stand up a little brick and mortar. But really, how far can it go? Like, how big can you grow that, right? And I think that's what was scary about it. But you know what they say, like the scary choice is usually the right one. Usually a ton of opportunity to grow. And so that's what led that choice. And then it was just like trying to make connections, calling people, going to, I learned about ACSA and ADI, going to their annual conference, 12 years ago. Those are still like somewhat new. There was, I think, 20 something craft distilling licenses in the state of Florida. And like 11 of those were maybe in operation, but it wasn't a lot at all. Yeah.
No, and how many of them were actually distributing beyond Florida? Like that's.
Oh yeah.
Can't have been.
Yeah, maybe one. Yeah.
I'd say too, even though the juice. Sorry, I was just gonna say, even though the juice and the distillery, I mean, they're wildly different processes, but there is a kinship of creating a quality product, to share with people. So I see where the fork in the road kind of happened, but.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you did the distillery, because then we can have you on the Bardtenders podcast.
Yeah. If for nothing else, this proves it was the right choice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look at us now, Mom and Dad. Did you have a name for your juice company in your pitches
Good
to your
question.
family and your
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't thought about this in so long. I for sure did. Yes, I did. And,
I need to know.
I have all those documents. I'm gonna look it up, and I don't know if you guys like do show notes or anything.
Oh yeah.
Concentrate. Get it, John.
Let me see if I'm on the laptop. Let me see if I can find this real quick while we're
the same
talking.
laptop from 12 years ago.
Don't press them
come
too
on
hard.
The files have to have carried over, right? I'm telling myself.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, here we go. Here it is. I think I found it.
That's amazing. On call.
That is amazing. Oh no, I didn't. It's just all my. I have a mood board. How about that?
All right, well, now
Look,
you have to send that after the show. We'll put it on we'll put it on our Patreon for everybody to check out.
Look, even if you find this like tomorrow, send it to us because I want to like do an audio clip of be like, by the way, this is the name. So anyway, well, we can
I found the name. Okay, I came up with a name. I think the top winners were Juicification.
Juicification. That's good.
Juice Craft.
Juice Craft.
Element. That's kind of boring. And Sprout, which I guess 12 years ago, maybe Sprouts wasn't a thing yet. I don't know.
Maybe you were looking into doing vegetables and, you know, like a farm to table restaurant attached to it, you know?
Maybe. I don't know. That's pretty wild.
Juicification,
that's a blast from the past.
It could also be like a death metal song, you know, so I'm into it. I like that one the best.
I think Juicification is pretty unique. I'm here for that.
It's funny that looking at my mood board, I found a bunch of I picked like bottles and like labels and stuff like that, and a couple of the bottles in that mood board were actually like old whiskey and like apothecary bottles.
Yeah.
So I mean, there could have been like a little bit of that tie over where I was like, oh well, this kind of works for
ideas of sat in the back of your head dormant for years.
Yep, that's right.
Rediscovered.
I just love that you're organized enough that you can just like click a few times and you're like, oh yeah, here it is, I found it.
I am equally as impressed with that, actually.
New skill unlocked. So you went to these conferences. How did you actually get the license? Like, what was the education process like? You know, how did that go? And how did you get to, the first steps of opening up Manifest?
Yeah, it was really one of those just like how to eat an elephant type things. It was
one bite at a time.
Just one thing at a time, right? Like I went. I think the biggest like chunk of information was the Siebel Institute, which is 100+ year old brewing institution out of Germany. They have a campus on Goose Island in Chicago, and they have a craft distillation and technology and fermentation science course. And I went and took that course, and that's where I made relationships with the folks at Cohen Distilling, and ended up doing our first 20 barrels of rye whiskey up at Cohen. We contracted with them. They let us come up and mash in and actually we stayed up in Chicago during all that while we distilled it, we filled the barrels and everything. I think like that section of time doing that, working with them on those barrels was the most illuminating in terms of what's the day-to-day look like? Like, okay, great. You have your business. What is it like as an operator? Because you can learn everything in the world about fermentation science, everything about licensing, sales. Like, as you guys well know, just like anything else, till the day you do it, right? Until you open those doors, you walk the walk, like you don't know what it's going to feel like. So that was hugely helpful for me in planning the distillery. Like even thinking about little things like where's your equipment going to go? What kind of hoses are you going to buy? What kind of fittings are you going to use on your hoses? What kind of pump systems do you want to use? Like all these little elements
that I need for everything. Like there's so many plumbing.
Oh yeah. What's the engineering plan? What does mechanicals look like? Am I recycling water? I mean, and it was just a lot. I mean, it was like 2 years of just grinding on that, fundraising, business concepts, plans, licensing, all that kind of stuff. And it's like opening a lot of businesses. I think with this one, obviously, the legal and the licensing is such a big hurdle to learn because it's a controlled industry, and then and just the capital investment it seems like it amplifies the stakes a lot just because of the amount of money you're putting in, either you or our investors that we brought to the table to put in raises those stakes.
No, yeah, 100%, and. You're not dealing with just, investors and all the logistics. You're dealing with the city of Jacksonville too, which I'm sure had their own restrictions for where you were allowed to put a distillery at the time too, and everything that goes.
Yeah, I mean, the city, to their credit, the city was actually really good with us. I mean, we hired some really good consultants. So we went into it early on and worked with the Fire Prevention Safety Office to say, listen, here's what we're doing. Here's our plans. Give us notes, give us feedback. We're now in a place where we can make edits easily. Like, we want your feedback. We want to make this safe. We want to do this right. And I think coming at it from that angle, they appreciated it. And this was new for them. They had never permitted a distillery. I mean, there's Bacardi on the north side, which is a monster, and that's been there for so long. Like, nobody was setting up a 9,800 square foot craft distillery. So it was kind of a new, there was where you let outside customers come in. Like, that was a new thing.
Yeah, which is like, it's a whole different animal, but at least you had the foresight to do the planning in advance, which I think so many people don't. They come to the end with the finished product and then they deliver it and they go, oh, wait, what? I have to change now?
Right.
Like, that's a lot more work that you create for yourself if you don't have that same kind of open response that you guys have.
Well, or you hire, let's say you hire somebody who's really good or who tells you they're really good. And they're like, don't worry about this a million times. Like, we got this in the bag. And you go through that process thinking that, oh, okay, I've checked my box. I've done the right thing. And then you work with your local your municipality or whatever. We hear from the FCSA side, we hear this stuff all the time. Like, people getting into this position, and then they call us and be like, hey, can you help us out with the state? Like, we're having issues with our license or, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but that's great though, because you're the president of the board for the Florida Craft Distiller. So you're in a great position to help other people like that.
I am. Are you guys interested in doing this? I would happily give this position away.
The answer, what you just said is the same thing that every president of any board that I've ever heard say. Like, oh man, you should totally volunteer your time. You should jump in.
Yes. We got spots. We got lots of open spots.
Create future leaders. Like, no, but truly, like, that's what you're there for. You're helping other people, and that's giving back to your community as well, and in different
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So you have your license, you have your building, you talk to the city. How'd you land on the name Manifest? How did you get that started?
So we same thing. We had a mood board. We had a whole short list of names. I have two operating partners I have two operating partners, and then my former head of sales, Tom Johnson, who really, Tom came on very shortly after, but my two operating partners, the three of us co-founded it. They're attorneys by day, and the three of us really worked through kind of the nuts and bolts. I had done probably 8 to 10 months of work before they came in. And then that's when things really heated up. But at that point is when we looked at this kind of list of names. And the things that were important to me were, I didn't want to, no shade on anybody who does this, but I didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves to being geo-fenced and having our name be tied to any kind of location.
Yeah,
not because I'm not proud of Jacksonville, right? But like, Jacksonville Distilling Company just really has a ring to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Brooklyn Distilling, I get it. Like, right? Like, there's a texture that comes with that, and I just felt like I don't know. We didn't want to be fenced in with our product either. So we knew that about the name. We knew that we wanted to be kind of broader, and then we wanted the name not to be necessarily rooted in any kind of like historical reference. We didn't want to be, like so many brands, especially then, it was always like, oh, this is my great grandfather's name, or this is my uncle's recipe that we found buried next to his body, or it was always like there's always, like,
yeah, we built a distillery on the original location of my great grandfather.
Exactly, we filter the vodka through their ashes, and like we're like, okay, well, that was a little weird.
I don't know, it's not far off.
So those were like the underpinnings of how do we come up with the name, or how do we come up with whatever. And Manifest was one of those names that like it imbued a sense of hope, and we had this principle that like the sum is greater than the parts. And coming from the creative industry, it was important to me that we had a very team-driven aspect to everything we were going to do, that we were going to come at everything as a group. There was a lot of creative think behind it. So this concept of like manifesting something into a reality felt really good about the process we were going on, and I liked it, what it represented, and just the name itself. I think for me, it's inspirational in the sense that anyone can have an idea and then go do something. You can manifest something into a reality, and to me, I liked that positive association. There is obviously also the whole Manifest Destiny thing, which, depending on what side of history you're on, is not the greatest historical reference. But we also did feel like it was, that wasn't the focus of what it was. Very few people ever relate it to that. And yeah, it wasn't the kind of the essence behind what we were about.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, to your point, I mean, you manifested the idea yourself to bring it to fruition. Like, that's something we did this with Bardtenders, right? With the podcast, like you take these ideas and you bring it to life, whether it's a business or maybe a new spirit that you're working on. You start with a concept and you bring it to reality.
That's it.
So when you first opened, right, you didn't have a ton of whiskey aged right off the gate, or did you with the rye from Koval? What did you start with?
So when we opened our main products, we were big fans of gin, and we were big fans of rye whiskey. We felt like what were we thinking? But even 10, 11 years ago, we were thinking, okay, bourbon is kind of overrated, and it's about the bourbon bubble is going to burst. And little did we know, it was like in its infancy.
Yeah, who knows,
Right. But I also just liked there's, as you guys know in the industry, the kind of the story of the origin story of rye whiskey. To me, it almost felt more patriotic. I actually liked the fact that it was, it had a deeper root in history in the US than bourbon did. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was always the underdog. Like, it wasn't subsidized by the US government. It was what was made because it was what was available. Like, I liked that agricultural story. And personally, I just liked the taste of rye whiskey. I liked it better than bourbon. So we focused on those two. Gin and rye whiskey were like the two things we really focused on. We just chased a lot of different whiskeys. And we actually fell in love with the whiskey profile from Journeyman Distilling in Three Oaks, Michigan. And they had a very similar mash bill of a wheated rye whiskey. And I did a little bit of research and came to find out while I was at Siebel that the guy actually, I think he might have even worked at Koval, the founder, but he was producing all of his rye at Koval before he started. And then
they already had
opened
his tools there.
So, yeah, and they had the mash bill. They knew, and we wanted to be an organic facility, and Koval was also an organic facility. So like everything lined up for us. So we laid up those first 20 barrels of rye. So when we opened, they were almost a year old when we opened. So we had a little bit of a head start.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, I'm going to fast forward you. Are you ready? Fast forward to Find Familiar Spirits.
Yep.
We know that you're a huge gamer. You love Leisure Suit Larry. huge gamer, which obviously brought you to Find Familiar Spirits. So, Manifest Distilling, doing well. Things are going. You're ready for your next new challenge, right? Your new adventure. So how did this kind of start? How did you get us to, Quest's End? And then, what brought us together eventually down the road?
Yeah. So we have there's a brand that a good friend of mine, Blake Reber, who runs Sealbox, the online retailer. He lives here in Jacksonville. We were both early days. We were members of the Jacksonville Bourbon Whiskey Society. Before we were doing this, he was a CPA. We were both big fans. I went off and did this. He went off and created his Sealbox e-commerce site and brands. We were doing some bottling for him. We actually started doing bottling with him. We still do it. And he had somehow, I think he's the one that made the connection. Somehow I'd gotten introduced to Matt Lillard and Justin Ware and Tim Sparapani, who started Find Familiar Spirits. They put us together on a call. It was a total blind call for me going into it. He was like, hey, talk to these guys. They need bottling help. And of course, we jumped on the gym and I was like, oh shit. Okay, yeah, of course I know who you are. Cool. Yeah, let's do this. They needed help. They were interviewing different contract producers around the country. They had a series of different recommendations, and so we just hit it off with, I think, with my theater and film background. There was a little bit of a kinship with Matt and Justin being in Hollywood and being a working actor and a working screenwriter. So I think there's a little bit of kinship around that. And we started working together, and then that relationship just slowly grew. And, I was able to apply that 8+ years of knowledge of running a craft distillery and helping them and go, listen, guys, this is great, but here's some other things we can, let's make a little tweak here. We can save some money. We've got these vendor relationships. I think that slowly grew, and there was just a natural fit and value there. And so that's when they brought me on as more bigger role, and that's what led to that COO position, running the operations side for them.
That's so cool. So did they have the idea with Fine Familiar Spirits to do Quest End and the Macabre Spirits at the same time, or were they still kind of just in the infancy stage of their concept?
No, so I mean, when we did their very first product, which was, it's actually right here. Their very first was Quest End Paladin, which this was the very first one that they ever released. They had built out this concept of Quest End, which out of the gate was scheduled to be a 16 drop series, 4 drops per year, covering all of major character classes, and then other, like they had, they've got Dragon. Obviously, it's not a character class, but they have other like iconic figures from within the realm. I never played D&D growing up. Funny enough, I was drawn to it, and my parents were like, "No, like you turn out to be a devil worshiper."
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
which is great.
After.
I'm wearing my Hellfire Club shirt today, so
that's perfect. I love it. And funny now too. Like fast forward now, I'm working like for a video, a hell, the Heathen company, right? Like company that's just hit me. The irony of that's kind of funny. So no, the question was already an idea that was pretty fleshed out. They had already started working with Tyler, who does all the artwork, and Kate, who wrote the first four in the series. And then in working together is when the horror brand launched. Macabre kind of came around after we'd started working together already.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and then those are the two main brands, and then obviously they've got partnerships with like Critical Role. We did 2 different drops with them. We're talking. There will probably be another one in the future working with that group. And then this year, as an offshoot of the Macabre series, we did a partnership with the band Ice Nine Kills. So we did the Horrorwood Reserve with them, which was super fun.
It makes it a lot of fun too. Like all new challenges, all new exciting things.
Yeah.
Like it keeps the things exciting, right? I mean, not that it's not exciting to do the same thing all the time that you're passionate about, that you love, but having these new projects, these new challenges, these new ways to adapt, like it keeps it growing.
Well, and I in hindsight, I definitely think it reignited something for me, as having spent so much time in that creative realm. Not that being an entrepreneur or running a business, it doesn't need creativity, because it for sure does, but you don't really have as much time to kind of dream and play anymore when you're running a small business. You're just in it, and every day it's like you're just in the fire every day, and it's like that's great too. Like that fulfills a certain part of me, but being around and being able to play and be adjacent to the level of creativity that's happening with this stuff. I'm not writing, I'm not creating this stuff, but being adjacent to it, helping to guide them, helping to make decisions with liquids. It's for sure scratching an itch, 100%.
No, absolutely. Okay. I have a question then about Quest End, because you said there's multiple drops and everything's happening. Yep. We've tasted quite a few. When you're creating the first spirit, right? Obviously it became Paladin. Well, in the world of cocktails, we talk about concept drinks and then drinks that are kind of already existing. So You either start with, hey, I've got a really great name for something. Let's create a spirit or an ingredient to fit the name. Or we have the complete opposite on the other side, where we create the thing and then we put the name attached to it. So when you created that first whiskey for Quest End, was it always intended to be Paladin, or did you taste it and you're like, oh, well, this is the one that we have to do first?
Great question. So full disclosure, I can't take credit for the liquid that ended up in the bottle. So the first 4, we had formed a relationship with master blender Ali Ochoa. So Ali was at La Pulga at the time in Texas, and she's since left, and she's with Pernod Ricard now. So she just graduated on, and she's a master blender, and does a lot of their sensory work for Pernod Ricard, which is an amazing gig for her. But I work at incredible. I got to work with Ali on the first 4, and the way that we approached it and kind of what we tasked her with was we gave her the character first. So to your idea of the name, we gave her the name first, and we gave her the written description of the character type, not just the character class from a D&D perspective, but what is this character in this story? Because, every release comes with a short book that tells the journey of the character. We've given every character a name and the journey of that specific character. And we said, you need to create a liquid that imbues the personality of this character. Okay. So Paladin, being a fighter, being this female fighter that we created, it was like, what are you going to do to create that? And then same thing with every release that's come after that, whether that's, what was it, Warlock or Dragon or Rogue or Monk or Druid, like all of the characters within that story had a certain profile. And Ali loved it. Like I said, Ali left, and then we brought on Molly Troop as our master blender. She's from out in the Pacific Northwest. She started at Freeland Spirits. She did their gins. Another phenomenal talent, phenomenal palate. They both were like kid in a candy shop. Like, what? You're giving me this profile. I get to like develop a liquid. And we were like, the world's your oyster. Mm-hmm. You can use really any liquids you want, any kind of barrel finishing. Like, you just get to go play. And the first 4 drops that we did, the first season, we really stuck to bourbon whiskey. And we moved around to different producers, some Kentucky, some Indiana, some Tennessee, played with a little bit of barrel finishes. And then season 2, we've kind of moved on from that. And we've said, let's look at other liquids. Let's look at American single malt. Let's look at international whiskeys. Let's look at funky aging. Let's look at working with craft producers. Like we're working with producers from Texas, from Arizona, from California, from the Pacific Northwest. Like, we left bourbon country, right? And now and it's because, we've got we're thinking, if you're a guest or you're a consumer, you would probably want that variety.
No, you definitely do. And if you're just having the same thing over and over again with a new skin on it, yeah, it's interesting, but it's not creating depth, right? Mm-hmm. You have all these things. If someone comes over to my house for game night and I've got 8 different whiskeys, that's something really cool for them, especially if they're playing D&D and they're creating a character. I'm like, hey, this is the whiskey you're drinking tonight. Let's create a character on this, and that's what you're going to play. Yeah. Like, that's fun.
Game night sounds terrible at your place, John. Now, I've got a quick question. This kind of would go for both of you. So I love the concept of a D&D, themed whiskey. Obviously, how could I not? Then my next logical question is: are there now individual cocktails based on those characters for those different blends? So, for instance, the Warlock blend, do you have a cocktail that is Eldritch Blast? And if not, John, what would you put in it? I'm not going to put you on the spot that much, but I would love to see some cocktails like that.
No, Mike, you're on the dot. We actually, when we just did the launch release and we had the live D&D games at Manifest Distilling for Quest Ends Whiskey, I created cocktails for the actual Monk release, which was a ton of fun. I created some cocktails for NPC, the first launch, the Thieves Guild. So we had a lot of fun there. But I think that there's a lot of fun things you can do with these spirits, because to what David said, they're all different. They all have these unique agings. They all have these different proof strengths. Like creating a very balanced cocktail for the monk that is super high proof and is coming at you, and you don't want to just taste whiskey. Like you gotta find something that balances it. So yeah, there's cocktails, Mike. I don't know. I can't speak to what they've done in the past with their other releases, just the ones that we've had the chance to make drinks for. But I'll throw that over to David.
Yeah, I mean, so we, as like Fine Familiar Spirits, like that hat. We created a new part of our website called the Cocktail Shaker, which has been very much user submitted type, like share with us what you've mixed up, and that's kind of how we've addressed that. And then I think in terms of creating, like as Fine Familiar Spirits creating, we haven't played with that a whole lot, just because there's no one on our side that really comes from the bartending mixology world. I really think John coming in and working on these releases has been the first iteration of somebody who knows the world of D&D that looks at it through that creative eye. I mean, we have super talented bartenders at Manifest who are, like, I would say, gamer adjacent, like play Dungeons and Dragons. They like it, but they're not invested in the same level that you guys are, where you have active campaigns and you're playing regularly. So I think it's the answer John gave. I mean, that's kind of been our first experience in creating cocktails around it.
Well, it's just so much fun with the with the whole story of the whiskey, and then you're creating this character around it, to then just there's like, it's like you're talking about being able to be creative and do all this stuff. That's just fun for anybody who wants to have a creative outlet. But then to have the entire backdrop of Dungeons and Dragons to play with, to mix up a cocktail that people might like, that's a lot of fun. I really like how do people get involved with the like you were talking about, the user submitted stuff? Where would they how would they get involved with that?
So we created the Fam Club, which is which is it's a Discord channel. It's something we created last year, where you can join. It's an annual fee, and there's a number of benefits. You get a percentage off of every order. So any order you make on the Fine Familiar Spirits website, you get a percentage off. I think it's 10 or 15%. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then you get access to Discord channels. You get access to our IRL party. We do at least one party a year. Usually it's at a con. 2 years ago, we did Dragon Con in Atlanta. Last year, we did Gen Con in Indianapolis. And we throw a big party at those conferences and then invite people. Like, you get early access to attendance. And so I think a lot of the user-generated stuff has come out of those like Discord groups. Or people just kind of writing and submitting it via social media.
Very cool. Love that.
No, it makes it fun. Well, when we did the NPC, they have a game that comes with it. It comes with the D20 die right on the bottle. We played the game.
It's not inside the bottle like a mezcal worm or anything. You don't have to fish it out.
No, that's the next one. Obviously,
we looked at that. We looked at like what it would be like to create. I'll stop there. It's obvious we didn't do it for very.
There's a lot too. I feel like the alcohol would strip the color and the paint.
Nah, you got to use the right material. You don't know what you're talking about, man.
No, yeah.
We know a little bit, Mike. But we had two cocktails one called Brave, one called Knave. And then we created a third cocktail called Grave, because that's basically where you go if you lose the game, which is a lot of fun. And for Monk, we had the Ember Path, which was a fun cocktail because obviously they're monks of the Order of the Blistering Fist, and it just makes sense. So a lot of those ideations come from the materials that they've created already. David mentioned the book that comes with the actual release of the whiskey inside this gorgeous box, but pulling inspiration from something that's already incredibly inspired makes it so much easier to create drinks whenever you're excited about the product. So
absolutely, yeah. It ties it all together too. That's great. I love it.
I do have one question here for you before we head to our final question of the episode. Can we tease the next release? This episode comes out in March. So, what are we looking forward to next as the next spirit launch? If you're allowed to.
So, Matt Lillard fames himself on not being able to keep secrets at all and leaking information before he's supposed to. apparently I too am not very good at this, because I think at our last public tasting, I said something out loud that I didn't realize was embargoed. So I am conditioning all of this to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to say and not say, which could be a good thing. I think we've announced the next product. I don't know if, this is terrible, guys.
We can always edit it out. I mean, you're going to get to listen to this, at least let me and John know,
Hold on. I'm going to do look, see, this is
Mike. David just wants to show off his organizational skills on his laptop right now.
No. I'm literally Googling what it is to see if like the internet, some troll out there, it's not a comment on the person. Somebody's picked it up. Okay. So, so the next release that's coming, which I think is going to be right at the end of the first quarter of 26, is going to be Wizard. That's the third character in season 2, and we're doing an Irish whiskey. So we've imported an Irish whiskey from Ireland, and I know the producers very well. I've actually
just Manifest Alleys with Pernod Ricard, so you have a connection right there.
It is not them. It is not a Pernod Ricard brand. No.
Okay.
I have worked with this brand before at Manifest, so I had a little bit of a partnership with them. I am sure we will be able to disclose the name, because I know they're not a huge brand.
All proprietary.
No, I think they'll be willing to give it away. I don't. But it's good, really good liquid. The story is really cool. And then we have our fourth release, which will be, I think, in the end of second quarter, early third quarter. I don't think that one has been released yet.
All right, we won't make you put all the spoilers out there. You got to save something for people. We'll let Matt spoil that one for everybody.
Oh wait, no, it is on here. It's already been released. It's Revenant.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I have seen that online that's coming. That's going to be.
It's Revenant. Revenant, and Revenant is going to be the wildest amalgamation of whiskeys you've ever seen. Like we're just closing out the recipe on it. The concept behind the liquid came out of we have so much amazing. We've built this library of casks of whiskeys over the past 2 years, some of which got bought and never used. So like, what if we create this true Solera barrel vatted whiskey type scenario? So we're working through. It's going to be a really cool blend. It's going to be a really cool blend of whiskeys of mostly all American whiskeys, and it's but that's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be so much fun. I'm excited for that. Heck yeah! All right, Mike, you want to ask the final question?
Yeah, sure. If you're gonna throw, I think that's the first time you've ever thrown that over to me, John. Jeez.
I'll spoil you.
Wow.
All right, so we like to ask every one of our guests that comes on the show to share their favorite shift with us. Now that can be favorite hospitality moment. It's kind of a it can be a blend of things. Help me out, John.
You're doing so good on your first time.
Come on, Johnny Dice, help me out, man.
Oh, we always ask people what their favorite moment is, working in the hospitality industry, whether it's, a shift that you've worked behind the bar or a moment sitting at the bar itself. So what was one that just really stands out for you over your years in the industry?
Yeah, having an idea that this question was probably coming, I've been ruminating and trying to find a poignant moment in time or a hilarious comical story. But what I kept coming back to was, and this we'll see. It's not like one specific instance. What I kept coming back to, and we touched on it a lot in this call, which is why I think it's really present for me, is I've been really moved at the community that we've been able to create at Manifest. That's obviously been my longest stint at any one hospitality thing. We've been doing it 9 years. That's the longest I've been at one place. A lot of other jobs hopped around, right? And that's been the longest time I've spent anywhere. for a good reason, right? I try to leave. They won't. I tried to fire myself once. They won't let me go. But I think it's, we've always created a very welcoming environment, very warm environment. Anyone's can come. Anybody can come spend time with us. And I think looking back over the years, we've had people that have met and gotten married that got met there. We've had weddings at our distillery. We've had receptions at our distillery. People that have chosen these to celebrate these moments in our space. And you just look at like the friendships that have been built, the people that have come over the years. Not only that, but the staff, that we've retained for the amount of time that we've retained them. And it does feel like a family. And I think if we do nothing else, being able to build a community and create a community where people feel welcome, people feel loved, people don't feel judged, no matter whatever it is they want to, whatever it is they do, whatever walk of life they're in. I think that's really I think holistically like the most meaningful for me, and just what comes top of mind when you ask that question.
And yeah, that's hospitality. And we asked this question because there's so many threads that connect everybody in the industry to one another. And it doesn't matter what bar you work in, what part of the country, what part of the world, even, we have those same shared moments, of creating those experiences for guests, providing spaces for guests to just exist in, to your point, and celebrate those big moments in their life. Like that's one of the true gems that we get to experience being adjacent to the hospitality industry. And it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think just one more thing on that was Manifest. I think I want to say something about Quest and Find Familiar Spirits. One of the reasons I think I fell in love with Find Familiar Spirits is their unrelenting mission to see people that don't feel seen, and I think that's something that's really special about the Quest brand is. It's really genuine. It's not a play. We're not trading on people's passions. We're going after a market and a segment of people that largely don't feel seen. And this is born out of what Matt Lillard has done for a long time. And he obviously goes to these cons and he sits with people and talks to people. And the stories that he hears over and over are the same from people after people. And it's young kids. It's kids that may get made fun of, kids that don't feel like they're accepted. And that has always been a really important, obviously not the kid thing, we're an alcohol brand, but people, right? That don't feel
those kids
accepted, don't feel seen. Yeah, they do. They grow up and they grow up and then they have jobs and then they have money and like they need a place, they need that community. And I think that's parallel to kind of what I said about Manifest, but I wanted to share that about Find Familiar as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, that's like sitting at a gaming table, right? Like you have respect for all the people sitting around you. Everyone has a chance to be seen. Everyone has a chance to be heard, and giving them the space to be that person is really what's the reason you all come together anyways. It's not just to play a game. It's to be with those people in that moment.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little biased, but I think people that have been through, some levels of that adversity too, I think it's not a good thing necessarily, but I think it's also a character building thing. And some of the most interesting people I've met in my life have been through some of that stuff. So with some of those people, it's easier to find community because I think a lot of those people also know how valuable it really is. And also, if there is anybody struggling with that, I know a great PSA for bullying that we can point you to. David can get you the link.
I took me a second. Oh my god!
It too, and I was like, I don't have a link, but yes,
yeah. That's a test.
If anyone's listening has ever been hung up from a locker and finds themselves on a weird website,
or not.
I see you. I feel you.
You got space at David's table. So good. All right. We like to end the show by doing some shout outs. So, David, you're up first. Where can people find you? Where can they find the distillery, all the projects you're working on? Hit us with all the details.
Yeah, I mean, social media. We're just at Manifest Distilling. I'm on at David Cohen. That's my personal social media if you want to see pictures with my kids. And Manifest Distilling is obviously my first love. It's where I am every day. It's where we put all this stuff together. And then you can find Familiar Spirits and Quest and Whiskey, both on Instagram as well. And obviously the websites, manifestdistilling.com and Quest or finefamiliarspirits.com. That's got all of our brands, Quest and Whiskey, Macabre Spirits, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, check it out. Go make your own familiar. Go find out what yours is on the website. Submit some cocktails. Be a member of the fan club and get in the Discord. Who doesn't like discounted whiskey?
We should have the Bardtenders honestly do that and record it and throw it out. That'd be fun.
Oh, honestly, yeah, we probably
love that.
should. We should take the quiz and record it. Take it. All right, Mike. I guess we're hanging.
We could if you guys we could edit that down and use that as like a little promo for this podcast when it drops.
Oh my god! All right, well now we have to. It's so fun. I hope there's something goofy. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we're the goofy parts. Yeah, for sure.
Mike, shout outs for you.
I guess I'll shout out my other podcast, BRP, the Bartender Rant podcast. This is released in March. Hey, maybe we'll release an episode by then. So
yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah,
you're so good.
You know,
you guys release an episode every 4 months now.
Yeah, just shut up. If that. Anyway, John, do you have any shout outs you wanna do tonight?
Yeah, I do. I always have a ton of shout outs. My first one is to my favorite podcast. No, it's not the Bartender Rant podcast. It's Bardtenders, and you're probably listening to it or watching it right now. You can check us out on social media at Bardtenders. You can head to our website at www.bardtender.com. We have amazing resources for mental health, wellness, on-the-job industry trade information, education. Everything is there for you, so feel free to check it out. You can even listen to episodes of the show on the website too. It always features the most recent.
A lot of cool new merch. John's a crazy person, but God, this past holiday season, one-shot campaigns, how the Lich stole Christmas that he's released. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of really great merch. So yeah, please check it out.
And also shout out to Dale, who created the Bubblegum Beholder t-shirt, which is absolutely phenomenal.
I really do love that.
I absolutely love it. I saw the meme of the Mona Lisa blowing bubblegum, and I was like, well, we got to do that for D&D. And I was like, and the dragon's too easy. We got to do something else.
The Beholder was perfect. I want that. I genuinely want several of the shirts. So
I actually just ordered one yesterday. Also, if you want to connect with us, you want to reach out, you want to be on the show, send us an email at contact@bardtender.com or slide into those DMs. We want to hear from you. We want to know why you love the show. We want to keep making awesome things for you. So never hesitate to reach out. And of course, Mike, we certainly love what?
5-star reviews.
That's right. 5-star reviews.
And 5 stars only.
And if you leave a 5-star review, I heard we're doing something pretty cool, Mike.
Yeah, we'll read it out, but you got to roast us. If you can roast us, as I say, give us your worst 5-star review, and we'll read it at the end of one of the episodes. We've got a few. Do we have any new ones? Come on, people! Come on, send some hate.
I don't have one for today, but I could probably read Danny's again if you wanted to. That was pretty scathing.
No. But yeah, roast us. Give us 5 stars. We'll read it on the show. There.
That's it. We want to hear it. We want to hear why you hate us so much. Give us a 5-star review.
You know where all the hate is directed. Shut your mouth.
It's that venting. It's you. I know it's you. It's you and my bad dad jokes. That's kind of where we live.
I can take it.
And certainly, last but not least, thank you to everyone who's listening to the show, who has subscribed to our Patreon. So thank you to all of you. It helps us keep doing cool stuff. It helps us keep making awesome content. And we're really appreciative. So thank you guys. And David, thank you for joining us, telling your story, sharing everything you're working on. What an awesome thing that you're doing for Jacksonville. And, as you continue to grow and expand, it's the rest of the country too.
Thanks, dude. You guys, this has been great. This has been a ton of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you joining us. I hope to get down to your guys' neck of the woods and actually get to participate in some of these events in the future. So yes,
please do. Please come visit. That would be fun. It'd be good to meet in person.
Absolutely.
Well, now that we found him and he's not missing, it makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, thank God. I was really worried.
Yeah, you seem concerned.
I don't know what I was doing that night. You might have been all right to be concerned. I can't remember.
All right. It's that time of the show. Let's clock out. We'll see you guys next time.